Hello.
Hi, Hutchison.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, long time no see. How are you?
Yeah, fine.
I hope you and your friend are all healthy.
Yeah. Our team is happy. Now we are getting better and better for remote work. Before that, we cannot the remote work, but now we like remote work, and we don't want to go to office.
You are working from home?
Yes, home. Oh, are you in office?
Yes.
Oh,
I'm working. I was working from home for 2 months in March and in April, but from May we started work in the office again.
Oh, I see. Yeah, our office also open, but our company says 10% people can go to the office and keep remote work. And if we have a good productivity in such a way, please keep the telework. That is our company's policy.
Okay. I remember that when I worked from home, I feel some isolation. You know what
Yes. I mean? Yes. I feel so. The very isolation and the very big stress in the mentality, and so it is a hard work. And I think we can reach some higher productivity.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're strange.
Yeah. Yes. Well, how about your companies? Is it a normal working time?
No, our policy is that the thing we only have to do is working 40 hours in a week.
Oh.
So there's no regular normal working time. I can work in the very early morning, or I can work in the very late night. It doesn't matter. The thing is that we just working over 40 hours a week. That's the only policy.
I think that for the open source people, if we cannot meet in person, it is very hard to build some trust between the people. So it is our next challenge, how to overcome this situation. Yeah.
Let's discuss today how to overcome this difficult situation.
Yes. It is a very joyful time for me.
Hi.
Okay.
Hi. Good morning.
Good morning. How are things going? So in Japan, our lockdown is kind of over. How's it going in Korea and Taiwan? Aksung, are you back to normal life?
Of course not. But I started to go to the office again from May, but not every day. We should work from home once or twice a week. But today I go to the office, and I want to go back to my life before the COVID-19, but I don't think it's easy.
Yeah, in many companies here also, the structure of work has changed. People are working from home half time and so on. Yeah. SC, how about in Taiwan? Are you also doing more remote work and so on?
Not anymore. We have to go to the office since May.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Because we don't have any, COVID-19 cases. So everything back to normal.
Wow, no cases. So it's totally clear. That's incredible.
Amazing.
I think, you know, in Tokyo a day or two ago, there was like 50 cases. We still have a lot. Wow.
Yeah, please take care.
Yeah. Jerry, good morning. Good to see you today. So today is kind of a talk. Hi, Jerry. How are things going in Beijing?
It's a little dangerous for somebody.
Yeah.
But the people are calm.
That's good.
Yeah. Citizens have confidence about their government. So some people just work as normal. Some people stay at home.
Right. Yeah, because of course you had the new cases in Beijing.
Yeah.
Right. Fingers crossed, but you know, it seems like the basic structure to contain this exists in Beijing, and the activity seems to be working to contain it. So, fingers crossed. Alrighty. So we have about 10 people on the line right now, and we'll probably have some more join in the next few minutes. We're recording this session, so this will be, as usual with our webinars, something that people will be able to access over the months and the years ahead. So we're going to talk through a little bit for basically China, Japan, Korea, a little bit about how the communities worked. How about we go through in the order of CJK? Is that okay for you guys? China, Japan, Korea, same as the summits?
Yeah, it's okay.
All right. So, Jerry, let's kick off with some of your perspective. And I think what'll be interesting with today's recording is that it'll be the first time that our international community will have had a chance to get a quick overview of all three activities. So just to get started, so on the China side, Jerry.
Yeah.
How did the China work group bring companies together? Did it change the way that companies interact in compliance, or was it part of a general larger cooperation?
Let me introduce how the China work group are organized.
Sounds great.
First, thanks for Shen and the kids from the OIN team. They organized several events to invite big companies lawyers and engineers to participate. They are all interested in about license compliance. So we group together and we exchange news, especially Shen tell us the OpenChain will become an international standard. And we invite some groups, some companies such as Xiaomi and Oppo and Vivo. We organize together to discuss how to practice compliance. So it's totally thanks for Shen's effort to build up this team. Also, there are actual needs for China companies to concern about compliance issues. So we all grouped together and discussed. So the team, the China working group was organized. And also, I participate with my teammates to translate the specification into a simplified Chinese version. We are reviewed by Lin, stands for Lin. So we have some basic documents to refer. Shen, is it okay?
No, that's great, but don't give me too much credit. It was, one thing that was surprising was that when we set up the WeChat for the China work group, so many people went onto it. We ended up with a total of, right now, 109 people on the WeChat. That was unexpectedly quick. It seems that people from company to company encouraged people to join, and that was great. Is that normal to see that kind of growth from 0 to 100 so quickly on things like a shared WeChat?
I think some members have joined the WeChat group just based on their own interest. They want to learn, they want to share, they want to grow their reputations. But some companies, some members join this group based on their needs from their company. They want to know what is going on for this international standard.
It certainly was interesting to have some companies like the drone company DJI appear. I know that for DJI, they sent a patent lawyer, first of all. And I think, that makes a lot of sense in the drone market because they're dealing with hardware and so on. But it was just very interesting to have that type of company very quickly engage. I wanted to talk about challenges. Have there been any problems with the remote working situation and energy in general? And I don't just mean the OpenChain community. I mean, for open source activities and China companies, has the last 6 months slowed down people's work? Is it harder to communicate, or has the transition to digital worked smoothly for companies in China? What is your perspective?
For me, I have the experience at work at home because I have worked for some microsystems before. But for some of my teammates, they're not quite familiar with remote work. But things has changed. They have got to use it. I think the biggest problem is the online meeting system. For example, we use Uber meeting before, but it does not work well in China. So we switched to Zoom. It was much better. And then now we have also other tools such as Ding Ding from Alibaba and the Tencent meeting from Tencent. They're all very good to use.
Certainly, it was very interesting the type of problem we had with Uber Conference, where it just cut in and out. Some people could enter, some people couldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. it was hard, but Zoom seemed to work pretty well. So once we got to Zoom, things got a lot easier.
Yes.
But even so, it's pretty annoying to have to keep installing a new program or something similar and set it up.
It's just okay.
Here's kind of the wrap up. What do you think the international OpenChain community could do to support the China community to help keep the energy and the discussion going?
I think the problem is not China cannot be its own. We need to communicate. We need to work with other working groups. So today's event is a great event because we have speakers from Japan and speakers from Korea. We share the same experience that will help us understand each other better and exchange our practice. It will help us both.
Thank you so much, Jerry. And I mean, you've been doing open source governance for many years now, I think, right? It's yeah. So it's great to have your experience, and you've been fantastic to support the community in OpenChain. You came to the physical meetings, you brought people to digital meetings, so we owe you a lot, and thank you very much for taking the time to help OpenChain grow.
It also helps me.
I'm looking forward to next steps in China and working together on that.
Okay, we can talk later.
Yeah, so for those of you who are on the line and you're not part of the China, Japan, Korea work groups, one interesting thing is that this week we have meetings for each of the countries in place. So we have an incredibly busy week. Starting later today, today is the Korea work group meeting. So it's going to be a very busy day for us in the OpenChain project. Alrighty, so we're doing this in order of China, Japan, Korea, because that's how it works with the summits, CJK. So we'll move on now to Fukuchi-san. Fukuchi-san, you know, let's cover a little bit of what happened in Japan. So the first question is, you know, how did the activities bring the companies together? Did it change how the companies are talking in Japan, or were the companies already sharing a lot about compliance?
This OpenChain is a very good place for us to meet each other. So I thank to OpenChain, the Linux Foundation, to make this opportunity. And we are very proud to start this kind of a regional community. At first, there are three founders of this activity, Hitachi, Toyota, and Sony. And Hitachi people proposed this kind of regional activity. And at the beginning, I was very doubtful of it because the regional is regional and we belong to a global community. But I realized this is a very valuable activity. And inside Japan, we have many issues in supply chain related issues, and we cannot resolve this supply chain issue by one company, and we meet and we need to collaborate each other. So from the start of this activity, we can meet and we can collaborate. We learn about how collaboration works and how we can get the outcomes from this collaboration. That is our good experience.
It's an interesting point about the regional versus global activity. You know, we had things like legal study group in Japan for quite a few years, but somehow it never, that study group activity never became connected with the global activity. It was much more passive. It was more like international update time, and then everyone went home. So it was interesting to see how with the OpenChain Japan work group, it very much became, let's build stuff and share it, and let's also make sure that international stuff is translated. And I guess that leads to the next question about, you know, how did the Japan work group keep companies engaged? And perhaps that's doing stuff, maybe? Over to you.
Yeah. That is a very good point, and I think we think many things, and I believe there are several points. One is we could build some core team. We have a special subgroup, planning subgroup. Planning subgroup is just to plan the next all member meeting. But in this activity, we can keep the core active members involvement. So the many good partners can join, and they proposed many good things, and we can discuss. So the first one is we can have some special group to meet, and the core we could build a core subgroup. That is one point, and we can go to the go ahead future, and also the all member meeting is I believe all member meeting is a very important for us, because meeting each other in person can make a good trust between us, and a good trusted relationship. And a good trust relationship makes a good atmosphere to discuss each other in a honestly and very actively. So we keep all member meeting 2 months, every 2 months. So we always meet the in person before the COVID-19. So this situation, we can build a good trust. And this is I think this is a special for Japan. So Japanese company many companies are located on Tokyo area, so we can easy to meet each other. And this keeps us too active, I think. And also we have some activity, lightning talk. We call it a lightning talk. This is a case study. To share the case study, at first, Panasonic people proposed this lightning talk, and we tried it. And after that, we can start the sharing the honest honest issues or very good, not good not the best practice, but real practice in their business. So we can share what is a problem and what is a resolvement, and so we can discuss and very hardly. So these points are for us are the very big and critical point.
And we go on to the dark side now. The remote working, has it been hard to keep the energy in the community with the change to remote working?
Yeah. So we enter the remote working. So at first, I could not resolve this, but we could keep the planning group, and we can discuss about how to do the next. And so we decided to keep our all member meeting in virtual. So we could hold a virtual meeting, and we had over 80 people to join, and I was very surprised that so many people joined. And then we keep our virtual meeting until the COVID-19 is stabilized. So we can meet. We cannot meet in person, but we can do our activity. We can keep our activity by virtual meeting. That is our this is very hard, but this is our resolution for that.
And moving on to kind of our final question, it's about what can the international community do to support the Japan community more effectively?
Yeah. We want to collaborate with global community, and the global community has many things, and we received many things from Turing group and specification group, and so we can interact with China work group, Korea work group, Taiwan work group. This is a very good input and stimulus for us, and we can realize that our activity works works globally. So this kind of meeting is very good for us to meet and to discuss and to realize the other international people do, and we can propose and we can receive and we can discuss. So please keep this kind of international, inter-regional and international meeting. I thank for many people to this happen. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Fukuchi-san. Much appreciated. Moving on towards Korea, Hutchison. Well, hi there. So the first thing is about whether the OpenChain Korea work group did it bring companies together? Were companies already talking about compliance? Basically, to understand, was it something that changed how the community works in Korea or built on the existing work?
Okay, Shane, you want long version answer or short version of answer?
Oh, surprise me. Both are great. Whatever
Okay.
you.
Okay. Before I answer, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Hutchison, working at SK Telecom as an open source program manager. SK Telecom is a wireless operator, telecommunication operator in Korea. In fact, I've been working for a long time in LG Electronics open source team. Then in January of this year, I moved to SK Telecom. And everyone knows that open source compliance is important. It's one of the essential for using open source software, and Korean companies, of course, knows that the importance of the open source compliance. But open source compliance cannot be achieved by one company alone, as Fukuchi-san mentioned. So I strongly believe that if companies share their resources and best practices with each other, then all companies can achieve significant level of open source compliance at low cost and low resources. The thing is that the OpenChain project very surprisingly make it possible to achieve open source compliance simply and consistently through sharing and collaboration. In 2017, I met Shane in Korea, and Shane explained the idea of the OpenChain project, and it was quite impressive. So since 2017, I've been contributing to the OpenChain project with Korean translation of the specification. And in 2018, I attended the OpenChain Japan workgroup meeting, and I saw how Japanese companies are working together, and it was so quite impressive. I wish that such activities would happen in Korea too. At that time, I had some personal connection, relationship with some people working on open source team in each Korean companies. And then I called them and explained the idea and purpose of the OpenChain project. Very thankfully, most of them agreed with the idea of the OpenChain project. So we decided to have a meeting under the OpenChain project, and the LG Electronics, my former company, hosted the first meeting in January 2019, and then we have formed the OpenChain Korea workgroup. That's it.
So moving to the next question, most kind of important one is how did you keep the companies? Because I think today's meeting is the 6th meeting of the Korea work group, if I remember correctly, at 2 p.m. Korea time. So how did you keep the company attending? What was the secret?
No secret, just 3 normal things. I'd like to mention 3 points. First, it's because Korean companies recognize the importance of the open source compliance and the value of sharing and collaboration. Second, the OpenChain project continues to share many valuable resources such as specification, guides, and various compliance automation tools, so that we, Korea Work Group, study together and share the value of them. So those resources are a big help for us to keep the Korea Work Group. And third, finally, the OpenChain Korea Work Group hold quarterly meeting, and as Shane mentioned, today there will be a 6th meeting, and every time when we meet Korea's leading ICT companies such as LG, Samsung, SK Telecom, Korea Telecom, Kakao, NCSoft, and Line share their best practices. So despite of the COVID-19 pandemic, we are getting together online today. Today, also Kakao will also introduce their new open source management system. In this way, like this, if companies voluntarily share their best practices, I believe that the Korea work group can continue to be kept.
And that brings us neatly to the question about, has lockdown situation caused problems for the energy of the group? Has it been a challenge, or has remote work been just fine?
Of course, it's big, huge challenge. Of course, it's very difficult. As Fukuchi-san mentioned, in addition to sharing work and collaboration, I think we needed to meet and talk offline and have fun together to build friendships, relationships. As friendships build among members, I think community can grow. However, the fact that we can only meet online like this due to the COVID-19 is a huge challenge to the community's growth. I'm thinking about how to overcome it, and yeah, showing face using camera during online meeting is one way to increase friendship like this, but this cannot be a fundamental solution, and I'm not sure what we have to do exactly yet. But somehow we must innovate to overcome these difficult situations. I think we can learn from successful global open source communities such as Kubernetes, TensorFlow, and Linux. And I think such communities may be growing even more in this hard, difficult situation. The key here is that their content is the driving force behind them, I think. Creating high quality content that everyone needs is the most necessary part of community growth in this difficult situation. If we OpenChain project community continue to create valuable content, then anyone can easily streamline and automate the open source compliance activities. Our OpenChain community also will continue to grow, I think.
A very good point about the content. OpenChain has had quite a bit of success with making reference material for training, automation, and so on.
Sure.
So, yeah. And that brings us neatly to, is there something, or are there various things the international community can do to help support the Korean community?
Yeah, as I mentioned before today, it's very helpful to provide high quality resources through OpenChain regular meetings and this webinar. We, OpenChain Korea work group, try to translate these materials as possible and provide it to the Korean work group. This will help the Korean work group. And personally, I hope that some more detailed document will be provided to make it easier for anyone to use the open source automation tools introduced through the OpenChain or OpenChain tooling work group. Everyone knows that those open source automation tools are good, but the big barrier is that it's not easy to use them, you know. So I think to resolve those difficulties, it is required to provide documentation detailing how to use it for even beginner. And one more thing I'd like to mention is that there are some members who voluntarily work for work group to grow the community. And I, as a lead of the Korea work group, want to reward them at the community level, not with money or not with any benefit. Just I want to recognize them and I want to encourage them. But in fact, I have no idea. There's no clear way for me. So I think it would be nice if the international community could consider, could think about this way together.
That's a really good point. And I think it might be time for us to create more OpenChain goodies to share. So maybe that's something we should get done. One thing that was interesting is that some of our groups had a lot of fun making their local logos. So I know that our tooling group and so on, they had a lot of fun making a logo and sharing it. Maybe we should do a bit more of that. Thank you very much indeed, Hutchison. So with the overviews complete from China, Japan, and Korea, I just want to pause here and see if any of our guests online have any questions or comments for our presenters.
Hey, Shane, Dave
Hi,
Marr
Dave.
here. I just wanted to say, hey, a +1 on the goodies. Let's work on that.
Yep, consider it underway. Maybe we should have a...
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Shane, this is Russ. I had just a brief comment.
Awesome, go ahead.
So I mean, to everyone, I guess, in the international community, if there's anything that you feel might help from as far as information or sharing or something like that, that you could benefit from what we're seeing in North America, if there's some way we could help as well. I mean, I'm open to helping out or listening to questions or something you might have, if there's any way we could help. Doesn't have to, you don't have to answer right now, but just the invitation is there.
And I suppose it also goes the other way. Russ, we've talked a little bit about maybe having OpenChain North America work group. The idea had been originally to launch it at the Leader Summit, or Membership Summit as it's now called, in February, which obviously didn't happen. So maybe we can launch it as a virtual work group and perhaps also get some support from Jerry and Fukuchi-san and Hutchison on that front.
Sure.
Sure.
So pausing again, if anyone else has any comments or questions, now is the perfect time to jump in.
So Shane, one question.
Jim, hey, go ahead.
So in North America, we have certain industries that have more interest in supply chains, particularly the automotive industry is definitely woken up and engaged very seriously. From the Korea perspective, what industries do you see having the most attention to OpenChain?
Okay, as you mentioned, automotive industry is also quite big role in Korea. For example, Hyundai Motors is a member of our OpenChain Korea work group, and they are playing a big role for our communities. And now, until 2 or 3 years ago, electronics industry are a big part of Korea, but nowadays ICT companies such as Kakao, Naver, or Line are also this kind of internet industry is also a big grew in Korea.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to mention that OpenChain is not only compliance. It's about how to manage your open source software supply chain efficiently and securely. So you can start your work from compliance, but also there are some efficiency and security issues. We can combine it together. But OpenChain gave us a framework to follow. We just need to fill in that part and that part and that part and make it run as a whole. So I'm not from a hardware company. I'm from international service company. I'm from Baidu. Baidu is China's Google. For me to comply to join this project is not because the compliance issues. Compliance issues are not very critical for current business, but I think OpenChain gave us a great framework to follow. So we combine. We need to match our open source software usage inside our company. We just follow it. So what I mean is that OpenChain is not only compliance. It can be used in other companies such as IMT.
That's a really good point. And you know, we have seen companies engage with OpenChain as much for a general approach to dealing with suppliers as the license compliance itself. Perfect. Alrighty there. And if we don't have any further questions or comments, we'll wrap up here with a big thank you to Jerry, Fukuchi-san, and Hexa. And this particular set of presentations and this recording will hopefully provide a little bit of inspiration and also your faces to show a human side to our work as we set up new work groups. I know that later in summertime, I believe in July, the OpenChain UK work group will start, and I'll hopefully be able to work with people like Russ and launch the OpenChain United States work group as well. So what we've done today will provide some support and template for their work, and thank you so much for your time in creating this record. All right, everyone. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Most important, stay safe.
Stay safe.
Yes. Goodbye, all.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.